Hello, everybody. This is Dennis Allen, and you're listening to the Dennis Allen City Boy Homesteader Podcast. A city boy who gave it all up to find happiness, financial freedom, and a better way to live life. Together, we can learn and accomplish anything. It is February 8th, 2019, and we will be talking about why I bought 30 acres out here, literally in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And what my plans are for my homestead. Why did I do it? What am I doing with this? How is it going to be a homestead? What my definition of a homestead is. You know, that's something most people don't even understand what a homestead really is. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And also, this is a big one. What is off-grid? What is my definition of off-grid living? You know, I one of my most popular videos on Dennis Allen City Boy Homesteader.com, something like that, on YouTube, was a video where I kind of put like a little clickbait thing out there, like, you know, making fun of Wrangler Star because he's a popular YouTuber. And so I got a whole bunch of watches on that one. But that one was pretty much my take on the whole off-grid lifestyle thing. You know, what it means to be off-grid. Is it just being off the electrical grid? But we'll get into that. I'm going to talk about how I'm using my off-grid, you know, using things like solar and wind for my power. How am I going to repair and build up the land? You know, it was a pasture. You know, how am I going to make that a profitable earning piece of property? And what am I going to do with it? You know, grow my food, medicine. And in essence, this is, it's going to give me the financial needs to live that better lifestyle that I talk about in the opening podcast and in my opening line. So before we do that, let's talk about our only and first sponsor. Actually, we probably have another sponsor. So, you know, the first one, let's do two. You know what? I'm just shooting from the hip. Again, these companies are my companies. So my little side hustles. The first one is Inglebean Coffee Shop in Millheim, Pennsylvania, PA. It's an awesome little coffee shop in the middle of town at the traffic light. There's a brewery in town, art gallery, bunch of cool little things. And, you know, I was spending a lot of time at this coffee shop. And when I first got here, I was trying to figure out, I got to get a job. You know, I was Ubering and things like that. And the coffee shop thing, it kind of just landed in my lap. You know, I was there all the time. One of my first friend here in the Valley, Kathy, she owned it. So I spent a lot of time there. I knew her well. I knew the business well. And she asked me one day, you know, she kind of like, hey, would you be interested in buying it? So I ended up, I had a couple dollars laying around. Not laying around, it was actually for building stuff. But I kind of shot from the hip like I always do, and I bought a coffee shop. And so that's the Inglebean. So they're a sponsor. Please check them out, inglebean.com. If you're ever in town, if you're listening to this, you're local, please come by. If you share the podcast, they are still giving away a free homemade, we bake them daily, every day cookie. So get one of those and you'll be happy. And I'll be happy too because you shared the podcast. If you like it. If you don't like it, don't share it. Well, maybe, yeah. You know what? Still share it because maybe somebody else will like it. The second real quick sponsor that we have is a Woodward Quarry. That is the quarry on my property. We are having Quarry Fest that's coming up 4/20. That's April 20th. And it's going to be an all-day music concert. We're going to have vendors, food, beer, just a great time. So check it out, woodwardquarry.com. That's also in Woodward, Pennsylvania, a couple minutes away from the Inglebean. So check them out, and those are my ads. Hope you like them. Okay, so one more thing. Everything, go to DennisAllen.com. That's the whole website for this podcast and everything. So if you're going to share it, share DennisAllen.com. My podcasts are on there. Everything about me is on there. So let's get into the conversation. Why did I buy 30 acres? What was the plan? You know, my first podcast, I explained what permaculture was and what I wanted to build. I want to build a food forest. And so with the food forest, you know, I had a little backyard in Jersey City, you know, 20 by 40 lot with some expanded acreage in the back. That was kind of city property. But you don't really need, you need more than a little backyard. I could have done a lot with that backyard, but to do a nice homestead, like I mentioned Dan, Homesteader Dan, check him out on Instagram. He has about 5-6 acres, I believe, and that guy Jack Spirko with the podcast, the survival podcast I listen to, he's got about 3 acres. And that's probably all you really need. That's what I was looking for. I was maybe looking for a little bit, 5 acres or more, mainly because I didn't want any neighbors, and I was willing to be a little more remote than most people are, I guess. Or I don't know. It's really not that remote. I'm surrounded by Amish, and there's a couple English people. The person I bought the farm from, Brian, he is a organic beef and cheese farmer, so it's surrounded by cows over there and cheese makers. Those are cows too, for the people in the city that don't know that. I wasn't looking for as many acres. Actually, the first plot of land he had sectioned off was 21 acres, I believe. And it kind of only went up to, my property comes from the road all the way up to the top of the hill. So I have the entire, from the creek going up to the top of the hill. But at first it wasn't to the top of the hill. It was only, I guess, to the first bump, you would say, kind of like the height of the quarry. And he had his cow pasture right behind me, so going up to the top of the hill. So I asked him if he would sell that a little bit of land to me too. It was about another 5 acres, I think. I have a total 28.7 acres, I think. But I did want that just in case, one day he would sell the land and, some conventional farmer moved in and he wanted to spray things and, do who knows what. But, I wanted to have that. And it's, the higher you go, the more beautiful the view is. So from that vista, I could see south. That was my whole point. I wanted a south-facing hill. And so it does have that. There was water on the property. It was very quiet. I could see another house for my property, but it's an Amish house, and they don't even have power. They'll crank up a big generator on weekends or something whenever they have to do some building or something like that. But it's a very, very beautiful. I'm looking at the mountain and mountains behind me, and check out my YouTube channel, Dennis Allen, City Boy Homesteader on YouTube. Check it out. There's a lot of cool videos. You could see the whole vista. I'm not going to get into describing it because I could sit here forever talk about that. So it had everything that I needed, so that's why I bought it. That's why I bought a little bit more. It cost me an arm and a leg just to get it surveyed, which is like, you don't think about these things when you're buying land and you want a little bit more, and it's like, I'll just give another, $20,000 or $50,000 for that piece of land, and it's like, no, that's not really how it works. You got to pay surveyors, and they want like $3,000. It's crazy. But I got it now. It's all there. This is my homestead. And a lot of people are asking, well, it's a homestead. A lot of my friends from the city, a couple of the old celebrities that I used to talk to a lot, they're listening to this homesteading podcast. And so a lot of people don't know what a homestead is. So my definition of a homestead is a piece of property, your home, that is providing for you. So in Jersey City, before I was Airbnb-ing it, and it was a 2-family, so it provided me a little bit of income. But most people's homes don't provide them any kind of source of food, or they do provide shelter, but everything else is tied into you just paying somebody else, either a landlord or a bank, or even if you own the property, you're just using it for a one-purpose tool. In permaculture and just, the way I cook, everything, I like to have tools that have multi-purposes. So a home should not be just somewhere that's going to shelter me. My home should provide me. And when it does provide for you, that's when people tend to say it's a homestead. Like Homesteader Dan, he is a full-time homesteader. And what he does is his full-time job is maintaining his animals, his sheep, his goats, planting his own food, his own medicine, maintaining it, doing all kind of, to provide as much as he can for himself and his family. Being tied into, so this kind of ties into the off-grid. I mentioned what is off-grid and what my definition of off-grid, and that Homestead or Wrangler Star, that, whatever. It was a YouTube video. But being off-grid to some people is only removing yourself from that cable that ties into the telephone line. So that's what most people's definition of off-grid living is not being tied into the electrical system. My definition of off-grid living is, one, you could never truly be truly off-grid, and I guess my definition would explain why. But the grid of just life, what you're living in, I need my water. Okay, I could provide my own water. On my homestead, I'm going to provide my own water. So that's something that's taking me off of the water grid. When I lived in Jersey City, I was on a water grid. My water came from, I think it was maybe 50 miles away from central Jersey, all the way to Jersey City through processing plants and pump stations and lead pipes. So I'm on a grid. It's not an electrical grid, but it's a water grid. So that's my definition of grid. There's a lot of grids of living, and to be truly off-grid, you're going to have to be in the middle of nowhere, never experience other people, being completely not tied into a community. A community is a huge grid. And that's a grid that I want to live in. I want to be part of that grid. I want my neighbors. I want to help each other out. I want to support my neighbors. That is a great grid, and I want to be part of it. The grids are the bad ones, like the electric company, where they're, I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast. Is that a bad grid? It's probably the most efficient grid that we have right now, so might not be that bad. But I don't want to have to rely on them. I like with my my power. My electricity. I live in an old Airstream, and all my power is provided by, right now, just 2 solar panels. All right. I don't have much of an infrastructure. This is about the future of my homestead. I'll also talk about what I have, but it's not much. So I do have 2 solar panels. They're hooked into, one solar panel is hooked up into the main battery of the Airstream. Teddy. That's my Airstream, is named after my Nana. Teddy. Octavia is Teddy for short, I guess. So Teddy has one main battery that is inside her heart, and then there are 2 other batteries, deep cycle marine batteries, that are tied, just laying in a little section there. And so the one powers all the lights in the Airstream, anything that is a DC power. So I have car chargers plugged in, so I could charge my cell phone on there or use different devices that run on DC. And then with the 2 other marine batteries, I have those tied into an inverter, an 800-watt inverter. And I use that for any kind of my AC power. AC power is the plugs that you have in the house. So when you're living on grid, and those little plugs that you have, that's AC power. All the power things that you plug into your car, that's DC power. So regular battery is a direct current. And then for your home, it's an alternating current. So it's safer, or it's not. I don't know. But so those are the 2 different. So my AC power, I use that to charge my laptop and charge bigger things like my power tools, things like that. Another way of power, which is wind power. Now, a lot of people think, oh yeah, you're going to get, what are you going to get, a windmill, and it's going to generate, this little alternator is going to charge a battery. No, that's not what it's going to do. Well, not directly. So again, in permaculture, my lifestyle and everything I like multi-purpose tools. So I have an obstacle. You need water. I do have 2 creeks on my property. I have Pine Creek, Pine. Pine Creek. I have Pine Creek, and then I have Fiddler Creek that join. And so I have 2 water sources, and that'd be good for things like gardens, irrigations, things like that. Backup water, emergency water. Probably don't want to drink it because there are a lot of cows in the area and a lot of runoff. It's normal. It's farmland. But I had to get my own water source. You could the easiest way would be to bring a well digger and put it closer to the creek. You would need a much shallower well. Most people that built houses back in the day, they put their homes near the creek so they could get shallow wells and they don't have to dig miles down. Of course, that's not how I did it. I want a pure source of water. I want it to be filtered. I don't want to have any chance of bacteria coming in from the surface water. So I took my water and my well and I stuck it on top of the hill. All right. Putting a well on top of the hill is, one, very costly because, a bunch of reasons. I had to get the truck way up top of the hill. That was its own adventure. I had to get a bulldozer in there or some kind of earth mover to because it's a hill. It's a, maybe 20-degree hill, maybe not 20-degree, but nice angle. More of an angle than you'd want a huge well digger that is top heavy driving on. So he came up its side straight and then had to back up into where it was going to be drilled. And so they had to drill, make it a little level spot. So I had to have John Clare etch out a little road up there, even like a little landing strip that goes into the well. How I found this spot for a well, which is amazing. I had a water witcher come out here, and she walked the property and picked a couple of spots. And so one of the spots she picked was where the well is, and she said it would be 200 feet deep. And it's probably a good guesstimate. I'm about 120 feet up, so I'm like, all right, well, it's going deep. That's good. It wasn't. It was 420 feet. Honestly, it was 420 was the depth of my well. It's what I paid for. It's what's written on the well. So I have a 420 well. That was the name of one of my YouTube videos, was 420 well or something like that. So I have a very deep. Well, no. So that's how deep it went to get the water. But because it hit a very big old artesian well, it pushed the water up about 200 feet. So my pumping level is about 180. My water level is about 180 feet high. So I'm only pumping 200 feet, like she said it would be. So my well is 200 feet. So I was thinking about how am I going to use, what kind of off-grid method am I going to use to pump water out? So I was doing a lot of research on that, and I came up with those old, what are they called? I forget what they're called, but it's, the big steel-bladed windmill that you see, and it just turns slowly. It's maybe like 10 blades or 8 blades, and they're kind of short, and they'll sit there and spin with the fin on the back to direct it. And what that does, it slowly pushes a rod up and down. As it's slowly turning, and it's like slowly turn. I don't know if that makes any sense, the audio. I just did that. But so that just pumps it up and down real slowly, like a little pump, pushes it down and squirts a little out. I'm out of water. Sorry, I hope that did not make this a different rating. So that has one purpose. So all it does is, pumps water up and down. That's all it does. One purpose tool. Don't like that. Living around the Amish, talking to my neighbor Menno. He hopefully he listens to this podcast. he suggested air power and pneumatic. Actually, Warren, my buddy Warren, he is another homesteader in the area. He actually helps people design homesteads. He lives down the corner. His daughter was the one actually that witched the water on my property. He suggested doing pneumatic pressure. So he might have been the first one to throw it out there. And what pneumatic pressure is, everybody, well, maybe not everybody, but when you go to an auto mechanic shop and you hear their tools going ring, 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 that's pneumatic pressure. And you get a big compressor, usually electric. The Amish use gas-powered compressors. It's a, gasoline motor going. The sound effects are great, right? That's pumping air slowly into a bigger tank. And that would be like the battery. So you have this compressed air, and you could spin things. You could do things with it. So I chose to go with this method. This is my type of windmill. So it's a windmill that is, in essence, that little motor that either electric engine turns or gasoline engine turns it, or motor or whatever. And so it's a little air compressor, I think 1 or 2 cylinders that, as it's turning, go, sucking, punching, I don't know. And that's turning the air pressure, putting it into big reserves. So I have 500 gallon tanks, old propane tanks that they bought at the Amish auctions. I'm tying those both together, and so that's going to be my battery. So all day that it's, spinning up there, and I live on a high hill, and there's a lot of pressure. My windmill actually is 100, it's 90 feet tall. I'm only going to use about 60 feet of it, maybe a little bit. I think it's like maybe 65 or something I'm going to use. It's going to be kind of low, but I could always add more and, make it higher, but lower the better. I don't need it that high because, like I said, I live on a very high hill and there's no obstructions, there's no trees around it, and so I don't need it that high. So the windmill's up there pumping that. From that compressed air, it's going to feed into. So with the whole system I bought, it was pretty fun. I took a little road trip with my minivan. Anyway, road trips are another part of my happy lifestyle. But I took a little minivan trip. I went down to No, I didn't have Intercourse. I didn't go to Intercourse. It was Paradise. Intercourse is next to Paradise, PA. And I bought the windmill from an Amishman. He used the same system. It was a used windmill, so I saved a lot of money on that. That was a great experience. It's another video. I bought so there's cables that tie up and hold the windmill from falling over. And just a quick story. It came with the cement pillars. He was going to break them up and just give me the poles, and I'd have to pour my own cement. So he suggested just keep this and you could pour around it so to just make a bigger cement. So I transported like 6 of these big, huge, maybe like 3-4 foot tall cement pillars, 3 feet tubes connected with the poles. Oh man, all the way from Paradise to Woodward. But that's the windmill. That's what's going to pump the windmill. It's going to push the water up into a storage tank. So my storage tank, I bought a 1,000-gallon old milk storage tank. So when you freshly milk cows or whatever you're milking, you need it in a storage tank that keeps it cold. So in essence, it's a kind of like a refrigerator. It's an insulated stainless steel vat with about maybe like 3 inches of insulation, and the cooling coils go through there and cool it. So when it goes bad, you'll never find the leak because it's surrounded by insulation, and you have to rip all apart the whole thing. So it's pretty much either scrap metal or you could use it for water storage. So I bought one. I paid $1,000 for it, $1 a gallon, which is super cheap. I don't think you can buy plastic ones for that cost. I picked it up locally at a local Amish his farm. So that's going to be on my water storage. That's on top of the hill. Another perk with the having water pressure. So I did want another reason why I wanted the windmill high and my water storage high is so I could do gravity feed. which is great. I could still use gravity feed, but I have air pressure now, so I could always tie air line into the water line, and I could have all the pressure I want. So that's another reason why it's up there. So picture pretty much at the top of the hill, a windmill going down the south-facing hill to a little landing that I had John clear. So it's like a hill that kind of like leveled out to a little flat spot, and then it hits the woods, and then it goes down to like the lower level where it floods. A little swampy, marshy, it's where the creeks are and everything. So where I want to live and where I want to build a house is at the base of that south-facing hill where it kind of levels off. I had John Clare where when he built the road comes up to this area. I made it a little short. I should have just had him go all the way to the level that the house is going to be on, but whatever. I wasn't thinking. So I leveled it out, took a notch out of the hill, so that's where I'll build. My plan is to build an earthship, and this all ties into the off-grid living. So off-grid heat is usually in this area. They use wood, which is a great means of heat. I have a lot of trees die, a lot of trees grow, so that's kind of like an unlimited source of heat. An earthship now, you don't even need that heat, because how an earthship works is you're facing south, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to build a house in that little notch of the hill, put a really strong roof on it, and then put the dirt on top of it. The whole front of the house is going to be glass, and that's going to face south. It's a beautiful view. All I'm looking up is the mountain. The mountain is actually far enough so it doesn't block any of the winter sun. Very important. I did this research. I looked at this property for months on all these solar aspects, and I tried to make sure that I wasn't blocking sun. I mean, just all these needs, and it met, so it's perfect. So what happens when the sun is lower in the winter, it will then shine into the house, okay? Because the sun is lower, in the south. So when you're looking, say if you're standing in my kitchen in summertime, the sun will be above you, so it's more above you. So I won't get any direct sunlight into the house. I could put solar tubes through it and then, have just the light, but without the heat. And that actually cools the house. All right. So on my property, I have a bunch of caves, and caves around here, the ambient inside temperature, either, sometimes with water, it gets a little cooler if you have water above you or below the cave. But normally the ambient temperature in the ground here is 52 degrees. So if I match that same 52 degrees ambient temperature in a house, because now I have, 3, 4 feet of soil above me, if I need to heat it or cool it, now I'm working with a base of 52 degrees. Summertime, if you're outside and it's 90 degrees, and if you come inside to a house that's 52 degrees, say 60 even, because, it's not perfect, that's a cool house. I don't use air conditioning, and I've lived in houses, and I just, hopefully it's windy enough, and, a couple of nights you're sweating, but, hopefully you have a fan on or something. So 60 degrees is perfect. I won't need air conditioning. Now for winter, you need to heat. And as long as you have sun coming in, even if it's cloudy, that sun's going to still be beaming inside of your house, and you're still working with a base of about 52 degrees. So let's bring it down to maybe 45, 40 degrees even. 40 degrees, my pipes aren't going to freeze. And it's how pipes, so when I run pipes up from the water system down the hill, I have to dig them 3 feet into the ground. And why do they use 3 feet as, deep enough so it doesn't freeze? Is because that insulation will keep that water from freezing. Same thing as in a house. If you build your house 3 feet down, you're gonna be in that cave zone temperature. And then the wintertime when it's shooting all those rays into the house, it's beautiful. It'll heat up everything, and you could put water in there to heat the water, and put a little wood burning stove. So that's what the home's going to be. In front of the home, where it's kind of level, I'm that's where in permaculture, we call it the Zone 1 garden. I'm going to build out the little area that John Clare notched out for a home. I think it's 60 feet, maybe with the house there, probably like 60 by 40 or something. A little bit bigger than my backyard garden in Jersey City, but I really think that that's going to be enough to provide most of my food and medicine. That little area, I'm going to design it like an urban food forest, because that's what I know. For years, that's what I was building. I designed them or helped design them for other people in the area in Jersey City. So I want to build a little urban food forest. I'm going to probably video it. So the videoing of this, when I build something as a little side hustle, I'm going to probably video it and then offer it as a design course. And people in the cities could buy it, or maybe it'll be free. Who knows? But I like to teach. So part of my homestead plan is I want to teach people on my homestead. And it ties into my home living too. Because I'm a legal farm, I get to have a home, and I get to have a farmstead. So I could have people living in the farmstead, and it's legal to have one bedroom with 800 cots in it. So you could actually really house 800 people in a septic system designed for a one bedroom house. So it's weird, but that's how codes work. But whatever, that's how I get them around. That's how people get around them. My neighbor has 1,000 kids every summer, and they have 3 septics. So that's crazy. So Zone 1 garden, food forest, permaculture kind of like urban design course for the front. Behind me, I don't know what zone it's going to probably be. Maybe like it'll technically be zone 2. You just have to walk on top of the house, above the house, like that hill going up. What we're going to do is I'm going to design it because it's kind of steep. I'm going to design swales. So imagine flip a bowl upside down. Okay. I'm going to design swales on that bowl. Flip a bowl upside down, and the size of the bowl, say it's not super, it's kind of like a shallow bowl. Every single level line, like if you draw perfect lines around that bowl, each one of those are going to be level. So on those level lines, those are called the contour lines. And on my hill, it's, not going to be perfectly round like that, but you follow that line with the contour of the land. So it's not going to be perfectly round, but it'll be, it'll follow lines. You'll see it like on those maps, the typographical maps. They have the contour lines. So on those lines, what you do is you kind of build like a pathway. And so I'm cutting into the hill, and I'm going to take that dirt, that topsoil, and I'm going to put it on the down slope. So 90 degrees down, it'll go down there. So what happens when rain falls, it's going to hit these swales. And that's going to slow the water down from going downhill. They'll fill up the first one, and it'll slowly soak into the soil, and so it'll keep the water on the land. Where opposed to normal runoff is, like, especially because the land that I bought, where I'm going to build the food forest, plant the trees, these swales, has been a cow pasture. So for, I don't know, not hundreds of years, but for 100 years probably, cows have been stepping on it. People have been stepping on it. So it's been compacted. So it's kind of hard and clayey. So what happens right now when it rains, all that water, some soaks into the top, maybe a couple inches and in the plants and everything, but the rest of it just gets washed off. And so all those dead insects and dead leaves and bugs and poop and my poop and their poop and whose poop and bugs, and that just gets, eventually washed down and into the creek and goes away. So if you build these swales, what it does, it holds all the nutrients. The nutrients can't go anywhere. It gets stuck there, and then because of that mound, so you have the pathway, and then downhill you have that mound, and they're only probably 3 feet wide. On that mound is where you're going to plant your trees, your bushes, and that's the way you design things. You're going to design, put a fruit tree there with a some comfrey at the base of it. You're not going to see any soil. Everything is going to be growing on, just like a forest. So a food forest, that's what I'm designing. So think of it as a forest. You're walking around in nature, and everything is edible or medicinal. So that's the plan. About 5 acres up there of just a cow pasture that I want to cut in swales. and have all the food there, of plants and trees. And it'll, some of it would be eaten by animals. You plant some up high. Anyway, I don't want to go too much into the design aspect of this, but it's going to have ponds and everything. So that's going to slow the water from coming down the hill and just, going into the creeks. When I said a design course, my overall plan, again, how I'm going to generate income from this homestead, it is I want to provide workshops, permaculture workshops. I want to teach people. Once I build this little urban thing, I could actually have people come out here. They'll take a course. Maybe they'll pay me, $100, $1,000 to take this week-long course. They'll have shelter. So I'll have my house that maybe I could house a couple people in. And then maybe I'll have the farmette, and I could have bunks in there. So that could store 20 people. I have campsites on my property. That's another way of generating income. I have, it's called Hip Camp. Hip Camp, search for, Dennis Allen on Hip Camp. That is a service kind of like the Airbnb of I got land, you can camp on it. So if you have a little acre in your backyard, hey, put a tent there. I don't care. Here's water. And you just offer them what you have. On mine, I offer you nothing. Here's a piece of land. People have come and they slept on the quarry stage. They sleep into the creek. Every now and then I'll clear up a little spot. I was like, that's a cool little spot. I'll just cut some trees down, level it out a little bit, borrow the skid loader from Brian and make a little camping site. So I have that as an income. As camping, I have another source of income. It's called Tenter. Again, search Dennis Allen, Homestead, or caves. They like to put caves in there because I have the caves on my property that you could explore, and one of them is really beautiful. So camping is another thing. They charge. So the Tenter. What the Tenter is it's kind of like glamping. You pay $125 a night. I get most of that. Tenter gets some of that. But you get to stay at a campsite that they built. So mostly built. We built together. They built a little stage, a little platform for the tent that has a nice canvas tent with a wood-burning stove and has dual bunk bed, queen-size beds that I could take the top off and it'll just be one queen-size air mattress. They provide a fire pit. We have a little bathroom area. It's really cool. It's $120 a night. People come out there for football games with Penn State. So that's just another source of income that I could generate on my property. And this is all legal up to code standards. I'm actually going to probably go for one of the positions in Aaronsburg. That's the township I'm in. I don't know. Do I want to get into local politics? Oh, that's another story. With all the food that I'm going to have, chickens and all this, who knows? I have a lot of compost that I'm going to be getting from the Inglebean that I could get from other places. I'm going to be having chickens and eggs, so I could sell the eggs to the Inglebean, maybe, if that's legal. I have all the apples and the pears and whatever I'm growing behind me. Those are things I could sell. I could sell mints. I love mint. I always wanted to be the mint man. One of my plans in Jersey City, or one of possibilities, I was going to just grow mint on my rooftop garden in my backyard and just be the mint man. If anybody had mint in Jersey City area, it would have come from Dennis Allen, the mint man. So just like little side hustles like that, have that food, provide for me, and the excess either give away or sell or do something with it. I can make applesauce. I mean, the possibilities are endless. This podcast, the survival podcast, it sounds like what are we going to do when the zombies come, or when there's a nuclear bomb. He does not talk about that stuff. He pretty much is surviving life. What are you going to do to survive your job? What are you going to work in that unhappy situation? Kind of like same things that I want to talk about here, but I guess I'm just reaching a different audience. But that's my goal for this podcast and this land, just to teach people, to provide an income for me, so I'm not spending $1,000 a month in taxes, or in Jersey City it was going up to about $15,000 a year. So do the math on that. Just a side note, this is kind of ironic that I'm talking about my water system for the land, and I spent money, and I spent about $30,000 on it. And ironically, no, I didn't spend that much. How much was it? 15? Yeah, about $15,000. About $15,000. But the ironic thing is the people that bought my house, their main water line broke from the house to the street, and it cost them about $15,000 just to fix one pipe. And for the exact same money, I built an entire water system that if anything breaks, it's going to be at most a $500 part, and labor that I could do myself. It's literally that simple. The only problem that you'll have with those things is they may leak air, and you'll have to get a new fitting, like a $3 stainless steel clamp or something. It's amazing. So for the same price as fixing one pipe in a city like Jersey City, I bought my financial freedom. I mean, seriously, think about that. It's amazing. I'm never going to have to deal with that, sneak up bill, or my taxes are going to double. One of the reasons why I wanted to get out of Jersey City sooner than later is because the taxes were going to double. I was paying about $7,000, more than double. And now they're about $15,000. It's crazy. Now out here, I don't even know what my taxes are. I pay them every now and then because I keep forgetting. I'm like, I got to pay taxes. How much is it? $300. Here you go. Dude, can I give you more? So it's amazing. That's how you're buying, your financial freedom and the happiness. The happiness is waking up in the morning. Man, with the sun peeking in your window, and you open your eyes and you're surrounded by glass, and, because I'm in Airstream right now, and it's, it's pretty small, but, I go outside and I'm standing on this beautiful hill. I'm looking at a all tree-covered mountain and farmland and pastures, and my neighbors are, running around with horse and buggy, and it's really amazing. That's the happiness, I got the happiness. It's I have to build more of the financial freedom, which I kind of did already, I have a little bit of that, but I do need to generate income now, and that's, those are my future plans for this. I have the quarry. We've been doing the math on that, and we could probably fit comfortably 1,000 people, 1,200 comfortably. I have to build some parking lots and some infrastructure for that, but I mean, simple math, 1,000 people at $10 each, or if it's a 3-day, I don't know if I'll do 3-day music festivals just to respect my neighbors, but a concert, $10 each at 1,000 people, that's crazy. Oof. We could do something great here, so that'll provide me some, income. Drive-in movie, I want to get a little screen up there, and one of the neighbors in town, he has a professional, he has a projector that we could use, and he's like, yeah, if I come down there and I could use it, be the one that operates it, yeah, sure. He's got kids. He wants to build his community like everybody else here. It's simply amazing. What else is there? Camping, diving, music scenes. I think that's pretty much it. That's my plan. I want to have my property provide food, my shelter, my heat, my water, my sewage. I do have to get a septic system because of the stupid codes. Maybe this president or the next president, or maybe presidents don't exist, and they say, okay, you could actually now compost your own poop. But till then, I do have to get a septic system built. I could still compost my own poop, but I still need a septic system. But that's another thing. That's kind of where the Inglebean money was supposed to go, but it didn't. So I don't have a septic system right now. Luckily, I'm legally living next door at the farm. So, and that's where I shower and everything. So, I kind of am living there. Well, I don't shower much, but and legally that's where I poop. So, I think that's pretty much it. I'm really excited about this podcast. Hope you guys are digging it. If you could share it with your friends, I would like to share this and, try to reach out to as many people as I can. My buddy Tyrone from Jersey City, man. Woo! I love it. I hope you're listening to this. He just bought his own little homestead. He's a city boy. I don't know exactly where he's from, but He definitely wasn't, born in Pennsylvania or upstate New York. Maybe he was, I don't know. But, he was an urban boy like me, and he's doing the same thing, man. He's got a chainsaw, and it's great. He's got a shipping container, man. People are doing it. So if any of you are listening out there, Brian Easy, Louis, Eddie, take your families away, man. Find yourself a better life. And I'm not judging or anything, but this is just my passion. This is what this is about. So if you're listening to it, you probably want to get out and find your own happiness and do what you got to do to support yourself and your family and just really enjoy your life. It's going to be great. My job is, maintaining my property and making sure that it provides for me. So share this out. Inglebean.com. If you're in the area and you want to get some freshly baked goods, and if you share this, you get a free cookie. Inglebean.com. Woodward Quarry. Stick with that. Woodward.com. No, sorry. Woodwardquarry.com. That's for all your music venue needs. I actually am talking to somebody about using it to film a movie. For a couple of scenes, maybe the whole movie. I don't know. It's the possibilities are really endless. So share it. Go to the website, stennissound.com for all your podcasts and all that stuff. Woodwardquarry.com, Inglebean.com. And I think that's pretty much it. The one last thing, I'm putting as you heard in the beginning, that might have been a hint what we're going to play. This song today is going to be Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home. I'm on my way. No, I'm not going to do that. They're going to sing it. I don't know if I could keep doing this, but I'm going to do it till I get caught and whatever. Maybe I'll just sing it. But Home Sweet Home was a song. I was never really a metalhead. I was more of, like a city boy. I listened to everything. I listened to country. My mother had Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and I let you and me going fishing in the dark. That'll be another song, but I'm just gonna be playing on these my favorite songs. The other one, the coffee shop rap song, wasn't one of my favorite songs, but it just tied in perfectly to the coffee shop, so I played it. So this one is Motley Crue, Home Sweet Home. Just set me free. Home, sweet home. It's goosebumps, man. So enjoy it. Love you all. Share this podcast. Keep listening to it. I love you all. I'm really freaking enjoying life. Leanna, my daughter, I love you so much. Love you guys.
I'm a dreamer, but my heart's of gold. I had a runaway high, so I wouldn't come home low. Just when things went right, doesn't mean they were always wrong. Just take this song, and you'll never be left all alone. Take me to your heart, feel me in your bones. Just one more night.